Welcome back, everyone, to the Duo Dialogues here on YouTube. As always, it's great to have you all with us. And today, we're gonna be taking a look at something a little bit different, but something that I think is going to be so useful for so many of you out there.
I'm intrigued.
Especially those of you who might be planning to take the IELTS exam anytime soon.
The IELTS.
Yes, indeed.
The big one.
It's a big one.
For so many people.
Huge. For people all over the world who need to demonstrate their English proficiency for a whole range of reasons.
Right, from immigration?
To university admissions, you name it.
Yeah, exactly. Professional registration, all sorts.
Now, we all know that doing well on the IELTS requires, a solid command of English.
Of course.
But what we're going to deep dive into today is something that often gets overlooked.
And what's that?
The common traps and pitfalls.
Ah, okay.
That can trip up even those who are generally pretty good at English.
I see. So it's not just about the language itself, but also understanding the test and how to approach it strategically.
You hit the nail on the head there. That's exactly it.
Okay. I'm all ears.
It's not enough to just know the grammar and vocabulary.
Right.
You also need to be aware of the specific ways the IELTS is designed to assess your skills. And believe me, there are some sneaky little tricks and traps they throw in there to make sure you're really on your toes.
This is getting interesting.
Now, to guide us through this deep dive, we're drawing on a conversation between Raj and Priya, two IELTS veterans who've really dissected the exam and shared some incredibly valuable insights.
Sounds like they know their stuff.
They absolutely do.
So where do we start?
Let's start with the listening section, shall we?
Sure.
Because as Raj and Priya pointed out, this is where a lot of people get caught off guard.
Okay. I'm ready to listen.
So one of the classic tricks they highlighted is when the speaker seems to give you an answer, but then subtly corrects themselves mid-sentence.
Oh, I've heard about this.
You might hear them say something like, oh, the meeting is at 3:15.
Uh-huh.
But then they'll immediately add, actually, make that 3:50.
Oh, snap.
If you've already jotted down 3:15, you're going to get that one wrong.
Yeah, that's easy to miss if you're not paying attention.
And Priya mentioned that the IELTS examiners often use distractors in the listening section.
Distractors.
Yes, they're these little pieces of information that sound relevant to the question but aren't actually the correct answer.
So they're trying to throw you off the scent.
Exactly. It's like a little game of hide and seek.
Clever.
You might hear several place names mentioned, for example.
Okay.
But only one of them is the actual location they're looking for in the answer.
Right, so you can't just latch onto the first thing you hear that sounds familiar.
You've got to listen carefully to the entire context.
Got it.
And then there's the speed.
Yeah, the dreaded fast talking.
Raj emphasized how the IELTS listening test often throws numbers and dates at you at a pretty rapid pace.
Okay.
If you're not used to processing information quickly in English, you can easily miss a digit or mishear a month or a year.
That's tough,
Yeah.
especially under pressure.
So what are some of the strategies that Raj and Priya recommend for avoiding these listening traps?
Well, I'm all ears.
Well, first and foremost, Priya stressed the importance of listening to the very end of the sentence or section.
Big sense.
Don't just assume you've got the answer as soon as you hear a keyword or a number.
Right.
Let the speaker complete their thought because they might throw in a correction or clarification that completely changes the meaning.
So patience is key.
Absolutely.
Don't rush to write things down.
Exactly. Take a mental note, but wait for confirmation before committing anything to paper.
Good advice.
And when it comes to dealing with that faster pace of speech, both Raj and Priya agreed that immersion is key.
Immersion.
Yes. You need to train your ear to the natural rhythm and speed of native English speakers.
Okay.
This means surrounding yourself with as much authentic English audio as you can.
Like what?
Podcasts on different topics, news reports, interviews, even movies and TV shows.
Like the more exposure, the better.
The more you listen, the more you'll get used to the nuances of pronunciation and intonation. And the less likely you'll be to mishear something crucial in the exam.
So it's like any skill, really, the more you practice, the better you get.
Precisely. Now let's shift gears and move on to the reading section.
Okay, bring on the texts.
This is where things get a little bit trickier because it's not just about understanding the words on the page.
There's more to it.
There's a lot more to it.
Okay, tell me more.
Raj and Priya highlighted the true, false, not given questions as a prime example of where many test takers stumble.
Right, I've heard those can be tough.
They're notorious, and the main reason they're so tricky is the precise meaning of not given.
Yeah. What does that actually mean?
It doesn't mean that the information contradicts the passage.
Okay.
It means that the passage simply doesn't mention that specific piece of information at all.
So it's not about whether something is true or false, but whether the information is actually there in the text.
Exactly.
I see.
And a lot of people get caught out because they try to bring in their own outside knowledge or assumptions.
Right. You might think something is likely false based on what you know about the world.
But if the passage doesn't explicitly state it one way or another, then the answer has to be not given.
Okay, that makes sense.
It's all about sticking strictly to the evidence presented in the text.
Got it.
And another common hurdle in the reading section is paraphrasing.
Ah, yes.
Priya pointed out that the IELTS examiners love to use different words and sentence structures to express the same ideas that are in the reading passage.
So you can't just scan for a direct word-for-word match.
Exactly.
You have to really understand the underlying meaning.
You've got it. And then there's the dreaded matching headings task.
Oh, tell me about it.
This one can be a real head-scratcher because you're given a bunch of heading options.
Right.
And you need to match them to the correct paragraphs. But the sneaky part is that some of the headings will contain keywords from a paragraph, but won't actually accurately represent the main idea of the whole paragraph.
Oh, so they're trying to trick you with those keywords.
Exactly. They're hoping you'll just skim the paragraph, see a familiar word, and jump to a conclusion without really grasping the overarching theme.
That's devious.
So how can we avoid falling into these reading traps?
Yeah, spill the beans.
Well, Priya had some excellent advice, and I think it's worth repeating.
Lay it on me.
Stick to the information in the passage and nothing else.
Right. No outside knowledge, no personal opinions.
Just the facts as they are presented on the page.
Got it.
And Raj added another really useful tip.
Okay, what's that?
Be extra careful when you see absolute words in the statements you have to classify as true or false.
Absolute words like what?
Words like always, never, only.
Okay.
These are often red flags because the passage usually presents a more nuanced view.
With possible exceptions.
Exactly.
So if a statement says something always happens and the text mentions even one exception,
then it's got to be false.
Good to know.
And finally, both Raj and Priya emphasized the importance of developing strong scanning and skimming skills.
All right, that's essential for any reading comprehension test.
Absolutely. You need to be able to quickly locate the key words related to the questions within the passage.
Okay.
And then skim the surrounding sentences to get a sense of the overall context and meaning.
So it's a combination of speed and accuracy.
Yeah, to me. Now let's move on to the writing section, which often feels like a whole different beast altogether.
Oh, yeah. Writing can be a challenge.
It can be. And Raj highlighted a mistake that he sees a lot of test takers making.
And with that?
They try to use overly complex or sophisticated vocabulary in an attempt to impress the examiners.
Trying to sound too academic.
Exactly. But here's the thing. If you use those big words incorrectly, or if they sound forced and unnatural, it can actually lower your score.
So it's better to stick with simpler language that you're comfortable with.
Absolutely.
As long as it's accurate and clear.
Precisely. Clarity and accuracy are far more important than trying to show off your vocabulary.
Okay, good to know.
And another common pitfall is going off topic or not directly addressing the specific question asked in the essay prompt.
So it's not enough to just write a good essay. You have to answer the question.
Exactly. It's crucial to read the prompt carefully and make sure every single sentence in your essay is relevant to the task at hand.
Right. No rambling or going off on tangents.
Stay focused and on point.
Got it.
And finally, Priya pointed out that a lack of clear and logical structure can really hurt your writing score.
So how you organize your ideas is just as important as the ideas themselves.
Exactly. Even if you have brilliant insights, but you present them in a jumbled and confusing way,
it's not going to come across well.
The examiners are going to have a hard time following your train of thought.
Okay.
And that's going to impact your score.
So what are some tips for structuring a good IELTS essay?
Priya recommended sticking to a simple, well-defined structure that's easy to follow.
Like what?
A standard format with a clear introduction that states your main argument. Several well-developed body paragraphs, each focusing on a single key idea.
Okay.
And a concise conclusion that summarizes your main points.
Right, the good old tried and true essay structure.
It works.
It does.
And using linking words and phrases effectively can also make a big difference.
Yes, those little words and phrases that connect your ideas and make your writing flow smoothly.
Exactly. Words like, however, furthermore, therefore.
They're like signposts guiding the reader through your argument.
Precisely. They help to create coherence and cohesion in your writing.
Okay.
And Raj just wanted to reiterate the importance of staying laser-focused on the specific topic in question.
Right. Answer the question that's being asked and nothing else.
Exactly. Don't get sidetracked by related but irrelevant ideas.
Got it.
Keep your eye on the prize the whole time.
Okay, now what about the speaking section? I know a lot of people get really nervous about that one.
I can imagine it's the one where you're really put on the spot.
Yeah, face-to-face with the examiner.
But Raj emphasized that the key to doing well in the speaking section is to approach it as a conversation.
Not an interrogation.
Exactly. The examiners are looking for natural and authentic communication,
Okay.
not robotic or rehearsed responses.
So what's the biggest mistake people make in the speaking test?
Pre mentioned that a lot of test takers try to memorize answers beforehand.
Trying to anticipate the questions and have a pre-prepared response ready.
But that can backfire,
How so?
because it often sounds unnatural and stilted.
Right, like you're reciting a script instead of having a genuine conversation.
Exactly, and the examiners can spot that a mile away.
They've heard it all before.
They have, and speaking in a monotone or a robotic way without any natural intonation or pauses, that can also work against you.
Makes sense.
Communication is about so much more than just the words themselves.
It's about how you say them.
It's about your tone of voice, your emphasis, your pauses.
Right, those nonverbal cues that convey meaning and emotion.
Exactly. And another common mistake is giving short, underdeveloped answers.
Just one or two words.
Or just a very basic sentence without any elaboration or explanation.
So you need to give more detail.
Yes. You need to flesh out your ideas and provide examples or reasons to support your points.
Okay, so how can we make sure we're giving those more detailed answers?
Well, Priya had a few great suggestions.
What do you think?
First of all, relax and be yourself.
Okay.
Speak naturally and conversationally as you would in any normal everyday situation.
Don't try to put on an accent or use overly formal language.
Exactly.
Just be authentic.
Authenticity is key.
Okay.
And when you're answering a question, don't just give a one-sentence response.
Okay.
Think about why you hold that opinion or why you have that experience.
And explain your reasoning.
Exactly. Give the examiner a glimpse into your thought process.
Got it.
And if you find yourself stuck or unsure how to answer a question, Priya had a really clever tip.
What's that?
Paraphrase the question or ask for clarification.
Oh, that's smart.
It buys you a little bit of extra thinking time, and it also shows the examiner that you're actively engaged in the conversation.
That you're listening and trying to understand.
Precisely. Now, Raj and Priya also touched on a really crucial aspect of the IELTS exam that often gets overlooked.
And what's that?
The psychological traps.
The mental game.
Exactly, because no matter how well prepared you are,
Right.
the pressure of the exam can really mess with your head.
Absolutely.
And one of the most common traps they highlighted is overthinking.
Overthinking.
Yes, you might have a gut feeling about an answer,
Uh-huh.
but then you start second-guessing yourself.
Oh, I do that all the time.
You overanalyze the question or the options and end up talking yourself out of the correct answer.
Yeah, I've definitely done that in the exams before.
And the more you overthink, the more anxious you become.
Right. It can spiral.
And that anxiety can then impact your performance across all sections of the exam.
So how can we avoid falling into that overthinking trap?
Well, Priya had some really sound advice.
Okay, tell me.
Trust your preparation
Okay.
and trust your instincts. Right?
You've put in the hard work, you've studied, you've practiced.
Uh-huh.
So believe in your abilities.
Easier said than done sometimes.
I know it's not always easy, but reminding yourself that you're capable can really help to calm those nerves.
Okay. And what about staying calm in the moment?
Raj suggested a simple but effective technique.
Okay, what's that?
Take a deep breath.
Just breathe.
Exactly. Before starting each section of the exam, just take a moment to pause, breathe deeply, and center yourself.
That can make a big difference.
It can help to clear your mind and refocus your attention.
Okay, I'll try to remember that.
And finally, Raj and Priya had what they called a golden rule for IELTS success.
A golden rule. I like it.
They said that it's not just about English proficiency.
There's more to it.
It's about test-taking strategy.
Oh.
They put it as a 50-50 split.
50-50.
Yeah, 50% your language skills
Okay.
and 50% your understanding of the test itself and how to approach it strategically.
So both are equally important.
Absolutely. You can't just rely on one or the other.
You need both. You need both to really excel.
That's a great takeaway.
So to wrap things up today, if you're planning to take the IELTS exam, remember that being aware of these common traps and pitfalls
Okay.
and having strategies in place to avoid them
Right.
is just as crucial as having a strong command of the English language.
It's about being prepared and knowing what to expect.
Precisely. It's about understanding the rules of the game,
The IELTS game.
the IELTS game, so you can play it strategically and achieve your desired band score.
That's fantastic advice.
Well, that brings us to the end of our deep dive today. Thank you so much for joining us. And a huge thank you to Raj and Priya for sharing their invaluable insights.
They really know their stuff.
They do indeed. And for all of you out there who are preparing for the IELTS,
Good luck.
we wish you the very best of luck.
You've got this.
And we'll see you next time on the Duo Dialogues. Until then, happy studying. And keep those English skills sharp.